Hi, John Maxwell here. Welcome to Monday with Maxwell. We're in our Best Advice series, and Andrew, who is always in the studio with us, always likes to jump in and give his best advice, and we do it because I think he's a funny guy, and a lot of times his best advice has some humor to it. So Andrew gave us this best advice. He said, if you are laying in bed and you come up with a great idea, you either have to get up and go write down your idea or convince yourself that that idea wasn't that great. And I think most of the time we just kind of lay in bed and convince ourselves it wasn't that great so we don't have to get up. Well, my best advice for you today is for you as leaders, for me as a leader, to let the people that are on your team, let them know continually that you need them. Now, I wish I would have heard this best advice when I was a young leader, because to be honest with you, when I started out leading, I had the opposite philosophy about leadership. And instead of letting the people on my team know that I needed them, I really wanted the people on my team to know that they needed me. It was kind of like, wow, I'm the leader and you need me. And if you have me on your team, there's a better shot of us winning. And I had it all turned around. And in fact, I had a district superintendent, but you see, I started off as a pastor, and a district superintendent is kind of like an overseer of pastors. And I had an overseer, his name was Leonard Fitz, and I'll never forget. He would come to me periodically, maybe every 3 or 4 months, and we would have a lunch or a dinner, and in every conversation, he would lean over and he'd say, now, John, I want to share with you something I'd like to try to accomplish. And I need you. In fact, the reason I'm coming to you and we're having our little time together is, honestly, if I can't get you to help me, if you don't come alongside of me, I'm not even sure I'm going to try this, because you're really key. If I can get you, I think we'll get others to be on the team, but I need you. And over a period of about 3.5 years, I began to understand that his way of leading was better than my way of leading. And instead of him walking into my life and saying, I'm the leader and you need me and I can promise you this is going to get better because I'm here, he would always say, you know what, John, I need you. Through watching Leonard Fitz over those 3.5 years, I began to change my entire leadership style. And I'm just here to say to you that over the years as a leader, I have found that me realizing how much I need people and realizing how valuable they are to me has allowed me to, I think, be a fairly effective leader. So when I was in my second church in Lancaster, Ohio, and we had the fastest growing church, not only in the state of Ohio, we had one of the fastest growing churches in America, and we had one of the top 10 churches in the country. I really began to understand this value of letting the people know that you need them. And I'm going to read to you what I called my I Have a Dream card. And this card I had printed, and I passed it out every day for a couple of years when I was building this pretty wonderful work in Lancaster, Ohio. So here's what the I Have a Dream card read, and I want to give it to you because this will help us with the best advice. Here's what it said. History tells us that in every age there comes a time when leaders must come forth to meet the needs of the hour. Therefore, there is no potential leader who does not have an opportunity to better mankind. Those around him also have that same privilege. Fortunately, I believe that God has surrounded me with those who will accept the challenge of this hour. You see, my dream allows me to give up at any moment all that I am in order to receive all that I can become. My dream allows me to sense the invisible so I can do the impossible. My dream allows me to trust God's resources since the dream is bigger than all of my abilities and all of my acquaintances. My dream allows me to continue when discouraged, for where there is no faith in the future, there is no power in the present. My dream allows me to attract winners because big dreams draw big people, and my dream allows me to see myself and my people in the future. Our dream is the promise of what we shall one day become. Yes, I have a dream. It's greater than any of my gifts. It's as large as the world, but it begins with one. Won't you join me? You know, the key to that little I have a dream card was that last sentence. Yes, I have a dream. It's greater than any of my gifts. It's as large as the world, but it begins with one. Won't you join me? Let people know that you need them. When I was in the 7th grade, I read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it was life-changing for me. In fact, I read that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, every year from the 7th grade through high school. And when I started writing books, I remember one day I thought, I want to attempt a Dale Carnegie How to Win Friends and Influence People book. And so I made an attempt on it. I wrote a book called Winning with People. It's still out. It still does very, very well. And it was kind of my Dale Carnegie book. And it had what I call people principles in it. Now, we're talking about let people know that you need them. And some of the people principles are so people dependent. It's like the learning principle. Each person that we meet has potential to teach us something. The charisma people. People are interested in the person who is interested in them. The foxhole principle. When preparing for battle, dig a hole big enough for a friend. The partnership principle. Working together increases the odds of winning together. So many of my people principles in my Dale Carnegie book are all about the fact that you need others, that if you're in trouble, be sure to have a foxhole that you build that's big enough for 2 people because you're going to need that help. That if we learn to work together, we win together. So how do I let you know if you're on my team? How do I let you know that I need you? How do you let your team people know that you need them? Well, there are just really quickly 2 things that just are very helpful in this, and let me give them to you. Let people know that you need them by, number 1, this is simple, isn't it? Asking them to help. Henry David Thoreau said, the greatest compliment that has ever been paid me was when someone asked me what I thought, and then they listened to my answer. In other words, Henry David Thoreau said, you know what, when somebody came and said, you know, I would like to have your opinion on this. What are your thoughts about this? He said it was the greatest compliment that I ever received. And I have a feeling that people on our team, when we come to them and say, you know, I need your help, I've been thinking about this, but I think you can expand this thought. I think you can take me a little bit further than what I've gone so far. Could you help me? I need you. Could you help me? I run into people sometimes and they come to me maybe I'm at a party somewhere and I'm introduced to somebody I don't know and they say, well, they'll shake my hand and they'll say, well, you know I'm a self-made man. Whenever they tell me that they're a self-made man or a self-made woman, I say, well, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And that kind of takes them back. They look at, well, what do you mean you're sorry? Well, I'm sorry. I mean, honestly, if you've been able to make everything yourself, you really haven't made much. You see, when I get a big dream, when the dream just gets bigger, it's bigger than me, that's for sure, okay? When I have this dream and it's bigger than me, I have two choices. I can either give up and say, well, it's bigger than me, or I can go get help. And this lesson on best advice is all about get help. Say, hey, I need you. One of my favorite poems It's entitled The Indispensable Man, and I love it because the words are just so true, and there's so much about what we're talking in this best advice lesson today. Sometime when you're feeling important, and sometime when your ego's in bloom, sometime when you take it for granted you're the best qualified in the room, sometime when you feel that your going would leave an unfillable hole, just follow this simple instruction and then see how it humbles your soul. Take a bucket and fill it with water and put your hand into it up to the wrist and pull it out, and the hole that's remaining is the measure of how much you'll be missed. You may splash all you please when you enter, and you can stir up the water galore, but stop and you'll find in a minute that it looks just the same as before. The moral of this quaint example is to do the very best that you can, be proud of yourself, but remember, there's no indispensable man. Kouzes and Posner, in their book, The Leadership Challenge, basically say that we really succeed when we take our vision from me to we. And how do we get our vision from me to we? It's very simple. Let people know that you need them. Let people know that with them, you're a lot better than without them. And so you let people know that you need them by just plain asking for help. Try that. That'll work. But you also let people know that you need them by empowering them. It's one thing for them to come and be on your team, but there's something very engaging and compounding about taking people and saying, I need you so much that I not only want you to be on my team, but I'm going to empower you to go out and make our team even better. Craig Groeschel is a wonderful friend of mine, and I think a tremendous leader. He leads the Global Leadership Summit. In fact, it was at the Global Leadership Summit a couple of years ago when I was with him in Chicago that he made this statement, and I wrote it down because I thought, yes, this is very true. He said, you can have control or you can have growth. He's talking about leading your organization. He said, you can either control your organization or you can have growth, but he said you can't have both. In other words, what Craig was saying is you can't control your organization and your people and have them grow and blossom with that tight control that you have on them. You got to choose. Am I going to control my people or am I going to grow my people? And when you grow your people, you grow them by an empowerment environment and mindset that basically says, I not only need you on my team, I need you to develop and build other people. And I'm going to read this to you because I don't want you to miss it. And it just follow along with me for a moment. If we delegate tasks, we're actually creating followers. We're creating people that only know how to do what we've directly asked them to do. That's why as leaders, we don't just delegate tasks, but instead we delegate authority. If we delegate tasks, we're creating followers, but if we delegate authority, we're creating leaders. And this best advice lesson on asking people to help you and then empowering them is really a major leadership principle. And what are the indicators that I'm empowering you? I mean, how do I know when I'm giving you power to go out and help build the organization bigger than what I could build if I kept control of it myself? I'm going to give you, in kind of putting the wrapping on this lesson, I'm going to give you 3 empowerment indicators. Number 1, the only decision you make are the decisions only you can make. I think that is a tremendous empowerment indicator. And the only decisions I'm making are just the decisions that I alone can make. You see, the strength of an organization is how many people can make decisions for you. And if all the decisions I'm making, the only ones I'm making are the ones that truly I only can make, then I'm probably beginning to empower my people. Here's another empowerment indicator. Team members are creating ideas and they're also creating opportunities. I love that. You know you're empowering your people when they're coming to the table and they're saying, hey, I got this idea, or I found this opportunity. I mean, if I'm finding all the opportunities, if I'm coming up with all the ideas, I'm surely not developing what I would call an empowerment environment. You see, growth comes from within the organization. And what you want to do is you want those ideas to bubble up within the organization. You want those opportunities. And when you're empowering people, that's exactly what happens. And then the last indicator of good empowerment is the fact that trust is the foundation and it's the core of empowerment. Foundation means it's what we build on. The core is what is our inner strength. And by the way, the best way that you can find out if you trust someone, this is simple, the best way that you really can find out if you trust someone is to trust them. And what's going to happen when you trust them, you're going to either find out you're right or you're wrong. You see, if you don't trust someone, you're either too controlling, or to be honest with you, you have the wrong team. You've got the wrong person. So if I'm not giving you trust, it's a lot about the fact that I'm either trying to control you too much, or it's a fact that you're not the right person for the team. But when I say, okay, I'm going to find out if I can trust you, is I'm going to trust you. You're going to prove me right, or you're going to prove me wrong. And either way, I'm going to learn to either give you more and empower you more, or to be honest with you, take that from you. I was having dinner several years ago with Jim Collins after he wrote his book, Good to Great. And when you open that book, I think one of the things that just kind of grabbed me, it may grab you, is in his acknowledgement section in the front of the book, he had a picture of his research team. And he had the phrase, the team takes me from good to great. And we talked about that, and he said to me in that session, he said, John, that's probably the most important part of the book. At least my research team thinks it's the most important part of the book. But he said, I put it in there because he said, I realize I can't do it without him. I need their help. And I would just say to you, I think that's true. That's certainly true of me. I can remember about 10 years ago when I looked at myself and I was wanting to increase influence and I was wanting to help more people, and I realized that I didn't have enough legs to my legacy. And so I sat down with Mark Cole and Paul Martinelli and Scott Fay, and we talked about the possibility of a coaching company. And I listened in several sessions and gave a lot of input about what would a coaching company look like, and what would happen if I had a lot more legs to my legacy. And this lesson just reminds me of this, and let people know that you need them. I really started the Johna Maxwell Team with basically the thought, I need more people that have the values that I have, more people that have the commitment to make a difference in people's life. And if I could just gather like-minded people, like-valued people together, then I believe I could really make a bigger difference, because I would have people that help me make a bigger difference. And that was the best leadership decision I've ever made in my life. 10 years later, we have the largest coaching company in the world. Almost 40,000 coaches in almost 170 countries. That is such a rewarding thing for me. And when I give you the best advice, sometimes I have coaches on with me, and sometimes I have Mark on with me. And today I just wanted to take a moment and talk to you from my heart and say to you that I need you. Does that make sense? I mean, I need you. In fact, I'll get a lot better if you just kind of help me out and become a member of our Johna Maxwell team. I really would like to have you help me with the vision of making this world a better place, of changing not only your world and my world, but changing our world. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor, and I'm going to not only ask you to do me a favor, I'm going to kind of give you a gift if you do me a favor, and that is, I just want you to go to mondayswithmaxwell.com. And there's a place where we just ask for information, and I want you to fill that out for me, would you please? And if you'll do that, I'll send you my book. Now, you have to understand that when I wrote this book, most of my books that are million sellers are leadership books. This is not a leadership book, yet it's sold well over 1 million copies and continues to do very, very well. And I want you to have that book as a gift from me for you doing something that doesn't take long at all. Fill out the information. I don't know, I suppose, give me a minute of your time by filling out the information, and I'll give you a book of mine. Now, I hadn't even thought about that before, but that rhymes, doesn't it? Give me a minute of your time, and I'll give you a book of mine. That's what I want you to do. So just go to mondayswithmaxwell.com, fill out the information, and do it within 24 hours. You got to do it now. I mean, hey, I'm almost done, so go do it right now, and we're going to send you immediately my book. And by the way, I mean, maybe you're not watching Monday with Maxwell on Monday. Maybe you're watching Monday with Maxwell on Thursday, and you're saying, well, shoot, I'm already late. I wasn't in the 24-hour period of Monday, and so I missed it. Well, you really didn't miss it. If you'll do what I ask and then just go fill out the information for us so we can have that, we'll send you a gift also. We really will. Now, why am I doing that? It's very simple. I'm doing that for one reason. I need you. The lesson on best advice today is let people know you need them, and I'm letting you know right now, I need you. So I'm done, but you're not. Immediately, go to mondayswithmaxwell.com, fill out the information, give me a little bit of your time, and I'll send you a book of mine real quick. Thank you so much for being with me today.